And good evening, everyone. John Russell along with Mike Taylor here. It's the Power Hour. We're here at North Grove Brewers and want to welcome you along. Stop on in here. We'll be here for the next hour. Also, Shepherd & Shepherd and CatchMark Technologies, our sponsor as well. And our special guest is Marty McDermott, Athletic Director of
Tiger McDermott
of Muskegon Community College. It starts already.
It does.
Welcome to the show.
John, before we get going, real quick, shout out a couple of local heroes around the Whitehall, Montague area. Buddy of mine, Danny, and his brother Tom, Whitehall Car Wash, right down the road here.
Okay, yeah.
This time of year, they take a trip up into Canada, okay? They get snowmobile ride like 15 miles back into nowhere, and they each wait until they can get a wolf. They're wolf hunting. And these wolves are the size of like my ex-mother-in-law. I mean, they're like huge, but can you imagine that? Kudos to these guys, man, going out there in the elements and a sport they want to get out there and just brave the elements. I can't imagine doing that.
No.
Some tough guys.
Yeah, they're not hunting bunny rabbits. That's like people that hunt bears. And
well,
you don't want to miss.
And that's how Count Van Sinkle found his first wife.
That's right.
He took a trek back in the woods like that and just kind of hung out.
Exactly.
But man, hats off to those guys. They're on their way back from the rough part of the country, and what a story to tell.
Yeah. They get caught up in the truckers' strike up there?
Oh, they probably started it. I know Danny right now. He's not going to slow down for any gate.
Oh, man. Well, that's great. So, yeah, we wish them the best, certainly.
Yeah, hats off to those guys.
You bet. Well, Marty, you started out in Midwest, out in Iowa. That's where you're from, huh?
Yeah, grew up with four other brothers in Iowa, and good place to grow up. A lot of people say, "Are you a Hawkeye fan or a Cyclone fan?" I'm gonna have to say the Cyclones on this one.
And where are you?
I'm the youngest. I've got a 65-year-old brother, and then I'm a 52-year-old.
And no sisters in there?
No sisters at all.
Oh my gosh, the testosterone around that dinner table.
The thing that I heard most growing up was your poor mother.
And now all you guys were athletic too?
Yeah, we all kind of played. Basketball was a big part of our. Played a lot of baseball and softball.
Was your dad an athlete?
Dad was not. He was a farmer.
How about your mom?
He was a farmer. Mom was not either. She was a housewife, but Dad ran the farm since he was about 18 years old, so it never really had the time, but enjoyed watching the boys play.
Fantastic. And you went to high school, I'm assuming. So are you a three-sport athlete? Or obviously basketball was a big part of it? Or?
Well, basketball was my main sport. I ended up going to a community college in Iowa, and then ended up at a school called Pittsburgh State University in Kansas for a year. But that didn't work out, so I ended up at the University of North Dakota. I was playing hoops up there, and good place, great. We had a great squad. I wasn't. My job was to dribble to the wing and throw it inside to the big guy, and then get out of the way. And I did that great for most of my career.
Well, I'll tell you what, even to play at the next level after high school is a major accomplishment. Okay, and not a lot of kids can say that, but that's pretty good in itself.
Yeah, it was a great place, and got my degree from up there, and then started my coaching career, kind of just smaller schools in the Midwest.
And I got to ask this because of your involvement in athletics and a career in athletics. How important was it to you, and what did you like about competing in athletics growing up?
One, I just think the competition. The ability to win and lose. We had one of the things that the story I always tell. Our basketball court was in the barn, and during the winter time, there was hay in the barn, and so when we wanted to play, we had to clear that out, and so it took some work for us to even play. But I think it just a lot of character is built. And you guys know from athletics, you build some character, you learn a lot as far as, some toughness and it's perseverance.
Discipline.
discipline, and it just it served me well in life. And
Who was the disciplinarian coach in your family? Did they both handle that role, mom and dad?
Oh, Dad was a disciplinarian.
So when he talked,
Yes.
he was like E.F. Hutton.
You ran usually. It was an old school upbringing. We'll say that. With 5 boys, it had to be.
Yeah.
Well, then, of course, your brother Greg went on to some renown. Of course, Greg coaches over at Creighton University. He's been a coach at several different colleges, and he's done pretty well for himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, they're having a really good year this year. Actually, expectations were pretty low this year. They had lost 5 starters from last year's team. It had a great recruiting class, brought in a couple transfers, and they're on the bubble now for the NCAA tournament. They say they're on the right side of the bubble, so we hope. But he's done a fabulous job. He was a mentor for me growing up. We spent a lot of time together, coached together a couple years, and just done a tremendous job. Top-notch, good person, and has kids' best interest in mind. And sometimes that's tough when you get to that level.
Right. And then his son Doug, I believe, is in the NBA, right?
Yeah, Doug's playing with the Spurs. He's bounced around the NBA, but he's I think this is his 5th or 6th team.
Hey, he's got that pension.
I tell you what, I got to tell you a little story. He's my godson, Doug is, and last time I saw him, I don't get to see him very often, but I kept telling him about that $20 I used to give him every Christmas.
That was a loan.
And I haven't seen any in return yet. But no, Doug's a great kid too. If he walked in this door right now, you would say, "Oh, there's just a tall, lanky kid," and he's not a kid anymore. I guess he's 30 years old. But kid's worked hard and has earned everything he's gotten.
I tell you what, though, those are the guys that they practice hard. They come and they do their jobs. But to get that pension, if you can stay around long enough, that is so important to those guys, and they work for it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that, if you're not a starter, getting that pension is tough.
It really is, and he's hung on. I can't even remember the 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. But I think he's 2nd in the NBA right now in 3-point percentage. So having another great year, got a new contract last year, so he's set for a couple more years, and just a good kid.
Have you had a chance to go see him?
Not in the last couple years. COVID's been a little bit of a problem with that.
Right.
But early in his career, we were in Chicago, we were in Detroit, we were in Indianapolis whenever he came to town. So it's kind of weird, to be honest with you, because I remember him. I was at the University of North Dakota when he was born. I was there, and my brother was also there. So I remember him when he was just a little tyke babysitting him. So,
Man, and then your son is going to. He's still in high school now at Spring Lake, right?
Yeah, my son.
And he's going to head over to Nebraska.
Yeah, had the opportunity. Was offered a golf scholarship to Nebraska. So. We went out there, took a peek, and just it was a really good situation for him academically. He's going to study engineering, and and my brother is out there, and so we've got some family in Iowa, family in Nebraska. So it's not like he's going to be out there all alone. So hopefully it works out for him. It's going to be a good deal.
What led you? We're talking with Marty McDermott. He's the athletic director at Muskegon Community College. What led you to athletics and education and that route? What that wasn't, like you said, your father's a farmer, and so probably somewhere along there maybe he was hoping that you'd take over the family farm at some time, but he said, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. Huh?
It was pretty unique. All 5 of my brothers went to college and graduated, or 4 of my brothers. I always get that mixed up, 4 and 5. So there's 5 of us, but we all got college degrees, and it just happened to be that my oldest brother went back and took over the family farm, and still on there today. So it's kind of cool to have that still in the family.
Absolutely.
And, but it's getting harder and harder, to make it, doing that for a living.
Is it a dairy farm?
It's a beef farm.
It's a beef farm.
Yeah, about 200-acre beef farm.
Okay.
Man, That's phenomenal. So then, kind of trace your journey as far as obviously after you get out of college, you start working. Get an education. What do you wind up doing?
It's kind of a long and winding story. It is. But I started out as an assistant coach in basketball, and spent several years in just small different schools around the Midwest. Ended up at Lake Superior State in 2006, I think it was. I got $12,000 in full health benefits, and I was the happiest guy in the world. But after 1 year there as an assistant, I was able. The head coach took off. I was able to bounce up to the head coaching spot. So I spent 6 years there as the head coach. That was a great experience.
Is it tough recruiting up there?
Very tough. Very tough.
Wasn't sure how
we had we took over something that was needed to be rebuilt, and so it took us a couple years, but we got it going. And from there, I moved. You always think you're going to go back home, so I took a job right next to my hometown in Iowa, and I spent 4 years there. But I met a girl up in the Sioux, met a Youper, and married her. Married a Youper. Yep. And kind of wanted to get back to Michigan, and we had a couple children at that time, and the coaching profession is not real conducive to being able to see your family as much as you would like. So we took a turn kind of and went towards the administrative role, and happened to come upon this job at MCC, and it's just been great for us.
Well, let's talk about how you found this lady then. Obviously she enjoys sports, number one, basketball. Was she an athlete?
She was. She played several sports, Pickford High School up in the UP. I'm not going to lie to you. We met at a bar, but that happens.
Nothing wrong with that.
I love success stories.
Well, we met at a bar, and she's a good lady. She's my right hand, and she's a nurse practitioner here in town, and just a great lady, and has been a good partner for almost 20-some years.
Fantastic. Well, you wind up over at MCC, and you have been there a while. I mean, I remember when you hired on, and I don't know exactly how many years it's been, but it's been a while now.
Yeah, it's over 14 years.
Yeah,
be 15,
flies.
I think, in October. And I followed a legend in Gene Gifford.
Right.
Gene's a great man. Was a lot of information when I took over, along with I'm sure a guy that you guys remember well, Gene Young.
Right.
Was a guy that helped me when I first got here, introduced me to people, and kind of showed me the ropes. But MCC's been great. We've been able to do in the last 14 years just have a dramatic increase in the amount of offerings that we have.
Right.
And
You've upgraded facilities.
facilities, and that was a fun project. A lot of times what we do is, you do the day-to-day stuff, but when you get the chance to work on a building and see that come to fruition, that was a blast. It took us 5 years from, basically from start to finish to get it done, but anybody that has not seen our new facility needs to get out there and take a peek. It is really, really nice.
My question is, Coach, when you make that decision and talk it over with your wife, I'm going to make a transition from being a coach to going into administration. Okay. How did the thought of being an administrator, what pushed you over the edge to become an administrator, I guess?
Well, I think it was family more than anything. Just the ability to spend more time with them, see my kids grow up.
Okay.
But I had always that was kind of the goal from day one, is I was going to coach. I love that. But I knew at some point that I was going to have enough of it. And, and I got to my late 30s. That was about the time I was like, I think it's time that we make that switch. And I had gotten my master's degree in athletic administration. So that was always kind of the path. It just was a matter of when it was going to happen.
Well, I got to tell you, I got a lot of texts the last couple of days saying, we sure are glad McDermott's up there with you guys and not at U of M as an athletic director. It's healthier for Jawan, you know. Those kind of situations as an AD, they're tough.
There are things you have to deal with that aren't fun, and I wouldn't want to be at U of M either. I'm sure there was some conversations, some tough conversations that had to be had with the league, with Juwan, with the president, and there are a lot of people that have opinions about that. But it's a sad situation. The whole thing was, because one of the things. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
Greg Gard, Greg Gard came from a little town in Wisconsin right around where I grew up, about 30 miles from there. So I've known Greg Gard for 30 years, and I just can't see him. We all saw the video, but it's just unfortunate. But Greg Gard's a good guy.
Well, when you watch coaches and Izzo and all these guys, and you notice, it's like the protocol after a contest. You see the two football coaches, they go right over and, shake hands on the field. Well, when I saw Juwan go toward the back of the line, you're going, uh-oh, this isn't normal.
It's funny. I was watching the game, and obviously it was getting a little out of hand, 14, 15-point game, so I hit the clicker, and all of a sudden my son says, hey, there's a fight in the Michigan game. He gets a tweet or something, and so we had to turn it back. We kind of missed it, but we caught it on the replay, and just really unfortunate.
But do you, as an athletic director and an administrator, do you, with your athletic teams here in Muskegon at the college, do you address those situations? I mean, preseason with your athletes, with your coaches, and have a code of conduct, I'm sure, all in place, and say, hey, this is.
Yeah, we sure do. We have a code of conduct with the NJCAA, and we have expectations. We are going to represent MCC in a positive manner, and don't do anything that's going to embarrass yourself, your family, or the school.
Right.
And that's kind of the language we use, and it's part of growing up. And sometimes it doesn't always happen exactly the way that we want it. There are issues that we deal with just like anybody. But for the most part, our kids are good kids and act the right way.
And one thing that did come out of that, of course, talk radio or whatever, is they're going to get their teeth into it a little bit. And they were running topics like, well, maybe we shouldn't even have the handshake line at the end of the contest. And I'm thinking, really? I mean, there are lessons in that of itself. So you're gonna. I mean, I just I couldn't believe that was. I know they obviously have to fill some space and all that type of stuff, but I mean, come on, really?
Yeah, I just don't agree with that either. I mean, we're grown-ups, and we need to act like it.
It's like I can answer this. I can answer this question for you because being an athlete, a coach, an administrator in athletics, I can tell you right now, the most listened song in your life, number one, the song you've listened to more than any other song on the planet, is National Anthem.
Correct.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. People are, what song do you think you've listened to more than any song? I'm going, well, if you're a coach and an athlete, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
You listen to the National Anthem, and if you're a three-sport athlete or whatever in high school, college,
right.
You're going to sit there, minute 45. Here we go.
Never looked at it like that. But you're right.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking with Marty McDermott, the athletic director at Muskegon Community College. We'll take a quick time out here, come back, and kind of let them brag on some of the sports that they have going on right now over at MCC. You're watching the Power Hour here from North Grove Brewers in Montague.
You have a lot of choices when it comes to insurance companies, so let me help you narrow them down. Hi, I'm Jenna Potts, your local Farm Bureau insurance specialist with the Durga Insurance Group. We are a company dedicated to serving only Michigan. We know you, we understand you, we protect you. All of us at the Durga Insurance Group live and work right in this area, so we're always nearby. Local agent, local service, and local savings. Come and see us today or visit our website, durgainsuranceGroup.com, to find out more.
And we are back. John Russell along with Mike Taylor here on the Power Hour at North Grove Brewers. I want to thank those fine folks and, of course, our sponsors. We're talking with Marty McDermott, athletic director at Muskegon Community College. And, Marty, I was blessed to be able to come over and call some basketball for MCC TV this year. And, boy, I guess I got spoiled. I mean, they were, for the longest time, I mean, the girls didn't lose a home game. The guys have only lost the one time. So I was kidding Tom Kendra, who's my partner. I said, well, I guess I don't know who's going to be working for you or working with you next week. But
yeah, after we lost, we had some long discussions on whether we were going to bring John back. It's been a great. It's been great for us, John and Tom, doing the MCC TV. And, just getting the word out there about MCC athletics. During the COVID time, it's been a little bit tough. We haven't had as many people in the stands, and we've kind of limited the time. But, we're getting a lot of views on our site, watching these guys and listening to them call our games. But, we've had a great year so far. Right now, our women's basketball team is going to be playing for the MCCA championship on Monday night, 7 p.m.
Where's that going to be at?
It's going to be in Muskegon.
Oh, wow.
At the college. So we're going to be playing Schoolcraft College, a champion of the East. So we won the league, and the women's are tied for it, won all the tiebreakers. Men's team finished a game short. We needed a little help and didn't get it that last weekend or so. But our wrestling, sending 8 guys to the National Wrestling Tournament next weekend also. Coach Brunger, along with, I'm sure you guys know Coach Gaffner.
Right.
Coach Gaffner's been around forever.
He usually sits right there.
Yeah.
He's like this the whole show.
Yeah. Still an integral part in what we're doing. And so, those are some of the winter sports, but we've got baseball, softball that have kicked off or are kicking off this weekend in Florida, our softball team. We had a great run with soccer. Last fall, we had championships in men's and women's soccer, and I think it was a 5th place finish for the women, and the men, I think it was 4th or 5th also. Wow. So we've been very, very fortunate. We've got good people that are leading our programs, and I think that's where it all starts.
We'll kind of walk back through some of these sports now. Basketball, the girls, as you said, they're going to be playing for the championship on Monday, and then they're already in the tournaments, obviously, as well, so it's kind of a little bit gravy there time for them. But let's talk first about the girls' basketball team. They've won the conference now 3 years in a row, and you're 1 and 2 player, if you want to say that. Actually, your big 3, at least point-wise, have been Mariah Pringle. You got Suzanne Sussman, and then you got from Mona Shores, you got Julia Tierman, and they've really done a great job. But what has impressed me with is how the bench play. I mean, every girl that comes off the bench, Whitehall folks will know the name Carly Jeffries, and she has. Tom and I were talking about if they have an award for most improved player, she may get that because all of a sudden she's making her presence felt, isn't she?
Yeah, Carly's made tremendous improvement from the beginning of the year, and it's nice, Susan Sussman is from Denmark.
Yeah.
And other than that, we're very local with these girls. Julia from Mona Shores, Mariah from Brethren, which is up north a little bit. But I think when we look about it at our women's squad, it goes back to Jason Cooper. We were very, very fortunate. Jason spent almost 15 years at Lake Michigan College, where he was a successful coach, and then happened to take a job on campus and was not coaching. So then when we had an opening, it was a no-brainer. First call I made, said, "Hey, Coop, can you get over here and take this over for us?"
Yeah.
And he was able to do that. So just had a tremendous run, not only these last 3 years, but previously also.
You mentioned Suzanne Sussman comes from Denmark. Now, as you said, I mean, the recruiting process of that, I mean, how do you hear about a girl in Denmark? How does that equate to Muskegon, I guess?
I tell you what, international recruiting is one of the more interesting things that's going on right now. just in basketball, but especially soccer,
Right.
where these kids are, they call them their agents,
Yeah.
where they're paying this company to spread the word and have websites with all their video on it, and these agents or companies are sending it out to college coaches, and coaches are evaluating it, and you know, a lot of these kids, especially in soccer, you know, they want to come to the States.
Yeah.
They want to come to the States, and they want to play soccer, and they want to get an education. Sometimes they want to play soccer too much, but it's been great for us. You know, it's been a different perspective for me, and even some of our instructors have commented that that what they bring, that different perspective is really cool.
On the guys' side, Jimmy Booth's been your coach now for quite a few years. A lot of passion with Jimmy, as with Coop as well. They're very passionate, very good coaches. The guys, I understand, have probably overachieved. I mean, I don't know going into it. I mean, they've done a fantastic job, but I was talking with Tom. Of course, like I said, my eyes are wide open because it's the first year I've done it. He said, yeah, last year it wasn't, of course, COVID, you know, all that type of stuff. But he says, man, these guys, and just like the ladies team, you got your starting five, and then you got like a second five, and Coach Booth a lot of times almost splits that 10-minute half into 10 minutes with these guys, and it's been amazing this year.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of balance on that squad. You know, just to take you back, 2020, probably the best men's basketball team we've ever had. We were qualified for the national tournament. We're seeded third going into the tournament. COVID hit. We thought we had a real chance of making a run at it, and moved a bunch of those guys on, and then last year COVID just kind of wrecked us. So we bounced back well. Jimmy's done a great job of putting some talent together, some good kids. You know, you said Jimmy's got some fire in his belly.
Yeah.
He is who he is, and I talk to him a little bit about that sometimes. You know, you have to be who you are,
Right.
and you know, we don't want to cross the line.
Sure.
But Jimmy's got some fire in his belly, and he wants to win, and he's competitive, and he's done a great job. You know, sometimes it's hard to coach 10 guys that are about equal ability, because you know there's not much difference between them, and they all want to play.
Right.
So sometimes it's easier when you got 5 or 6,
Yeah.
and there's a dark line between who should be playing and who isn't. But so we're hoping they can make a run here in the tournament, and
Sure.
they're the number 2 seed, and I think we've got Kellogg Community College on Tuesday night.
Tuesday, yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the scholarships for these athletes. How many does it vary? I mean, I'm never really sure on how that all works, and how many you're allowed, and what does it cover, the full-blown thing, or how does that all go?
You know, every college is different at our level.
Okay.
You know, we're a Division II institution, so we can go up to the cost of tuition.
Okay.
Very few of our kids get that. We just don't have enough scholarship money to do that for all our athletes. So most of our kids are getting $500 to $1,000 to help them pay for school, and we're not allowed to do any housing at all either. So.
Wow. Okay. And you know, your guys' team is kind of a little bit polar opposite some ways of the girls' team. Like you said, the girls' team a lot homegrown talent, with the exception of course, Sisman from Denmark, and maybe a couple of others. But in your guys' teams, you have Vern Nash from Muskegon, and ironically, his Big Red teammate, Khalil Stimage. And the rest of the guys, I mean, you got a couple of guys from Indiana. You got I think Chicago's represented. Charlevoix.
Yeah.
I mean, they come from all over, don't they?
Yeah, we do, and one of our kids from Indiana was actually 2 of their kids from Indiana were transfers. One from Grand Rapids, one from Danville. But we've got a Rockford kid, Ty Thiel, who started out at Aquinas. And we've got those big reds. Vern's been playing well for us, and Jake Martinson out of Big Rapids has been playing well for us also. So, yeah, our men's team, we have a little bit more of a wider web that we look at and are able to grab some kids from. So,
I guess that's how you could tell, how you gauge how successful your programs are is when you look at the kids, are they able to make that jump to a 4-year school coming out of your place? And that tells you how successful those programs are recruiting.
Yeah, it kind of has a direct correlation. If we're moving kids on to 4-year schools, we're probably going to be pretty good.
Right.
And, in some of our sports, you look at some of the kids and they're done with their 2 years and they're satisfied. They want to go experience that 4-year Michigan State type experience. Western Michigan, go down and be a Bronco. But there are a lot of our kids also want to continue to play, and we do. That's part of our job is to find them a place to play where they can continue their education.
And when we talk about the athletes, Coach, how many of your coaches do you see that come in and want to coach with you and your program there? How many of them do they use that as a stepping stone? I mean, they say, you know what, I really want to, I want to continue to make jumps as, going from a high school to a community college to a Division III. I mean, do you see coaches come into your program that the 5-year, 10-year plan for them is they want to continue to grow as a coach?
Most of our coaches want to do that. When we really, there's two things that we really have to deal with. And have to deal with is not the right word. Two kinds of coaches we get. You'll get the older coaches who maybe have coached high school for a long time, retired from teaching, and then want to come back and still keep their feet in it. And then we also get the young kids that are just starting out. And the majority of the young ones, they're looking to move on, which is good for us. If we're moving coaches on to the next level, that says we're doing something right. A great example, Amanda Parker was our women's coach. Amanda Parker from the Shores, Anthony Parker, that family, was at our place, took a Division III job in Chicago. From there, went to Hillsdale. Now she's the assistant at Grand Valley, and just a tremendous, tremendous person. Ryan Schock also was our softball coach for several years, went over to Wisconsin for the D3 job, now is an assistant at Grand Valley.
That's who we need to borrow money from.
There you go.
I have to ask this because, I've been in football my whole life. The west side of the state along the lakeshore here, Marty, we play a pretty good brand of high school football. Do you ever get any pressure about, approach, hey, how come we don't have a junior college football team? And is that something, you guys ever consider? And what are the factors? I know a football program, the budget, it's like add all your other sports together and then double it,
Yeah. I get asked that question all the time.
Do you?
Why don't you guys have football? Why don't you have football? Well, one, you're exactly right. Very, very expensive to implement. Two, nobody else in the state has a community college football team. Grand Rapids got rid of it 3, 4, 5 years. Tony Anese's last year.
Right.
Tony's last year. So the travel cost, you're going to be going to Iowa, Illinois.
Oh, he was in New
play.
York. Back-to-back games I think he had in New York last year.
Yeah, and the third thing is we just don't have the infrastructure on our campus to have that, the fields, the locker rooms, that kind of stuff to do it. But, people always say, there's 100 kids. You could have 100 kids running around out there, and we could if you did that. But it's got to be for the right reasons, and it's got to make financial sense.
Well, and again, when you think about the cost to start up a football program, that's nothing compared to your travel expenses where they got to go to find the teams to play.
No. No, I always told my boss that the day that order comes through, I'm probably not going to be around. So.
But one thing, you kind of touched on it when you were talking about the success of all of the sports. Now, going back to the 1800s when I went there, like I always joke about, it's not a joke, unfortunately, as I took a 2-year college education and turned it into a 4-year plan. But that was all on me. But wrestling, and Coach Gaffner was there then, I mean, that was a national big deal. MCs, and it sounds like they still have maintained that over the years. But it was really kind of like wrestling and everything else at a much lower level. First of all, let's talk about that a little bit, about the reputation that MCC has for wrestling that goes back 40, 50 years or whatever, right?
Yeah, and I think that's all Coach Gaffner. You know, he fought for a long time to keep that program going. And, you know, if you look back at some of the pictures, some of the wrestlers that he had, remember Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor, yeah. Yeah.
NCAA champion at Iowa State after he left here, and I think he won the world championship, if I'm not mistaken.
I think bronze medal in the Olympics.
Bronze medal in the Olympics. Yeah.
From Dowagiac.
Yeah.
From Dowagiac, yes. But you know, I think the standard that he set, you know, he's been involved for a long, long time, and now it's funny. One of his former wrestlers, Mark Brunger, is our current coach. And he always comes into my office and says, yeah, we're recruiting this kid. His dad wrestled for me. He'll come in the next week. Yeah, his dad wrestled for me. So, you know, Coach is a social guy, and he likes to get out and recruit a little bit for us. But, you know, I think one of the things that we were able to do when we built the new building is we've got a tremendous wrestling room. And that's named after Coach Gaffner.
Well, it's amazing how many Division I colleges don't even have wrestling.
Yeah, and it really, if you look at it, what's really growing right now is women's wrestling, and you know we're not ready to take that step yet, but that is a growing sport.
That was a New Year's event, you know, for about 15 years.
Right.
I got hurt, and then I had to give that up.
But yeah, I mean, the wrestling program still stays on. How did you, I mean, when you came on, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, but it is the truth. I mean, since your tenure there, we just saw this climb in the other sports. Softball had to stay, and it's built itself into a very solid program. Baseball, you know, all the other sports that come together. Basketball, volleyball, that sort of a thing. What was your philosophy coming in? Because obviously you came in on that, probably the trade winds of MCC wrestling, yep, and all the other stuff. Was that a priority of yours to say, I wonder if we can lift these other sports up a little bit?
Well, we always talk about a well-rounded athletic program. You know, we don't want to be good in just one sport and then have everybody else suffer. We wanted to build this and be competitive every single year in all our sports. And I'll be very honest that you gotta look at our administration. You know, at a time 2007 when I came aboard, there was a lot of schools that were kind of, you know, retrenching. You know, we're getting rid of stuff. And Dr. Nesberry, who's our president, is retiring this year. Came from, you know, the Division III model, where, you know, we have a lot of sports, and we talked and we said we're gonna expand when everybody else is retrenching, and we were able to do that. When Dr. John Selman came in, was a NCAA wrestler, All-American wrestler at Nebraska. Just more administrative support for what we were doing, expanding, giving kids opportunities to one, get an education, and two, to play the sports that they love. So when you have that alignment with your administration and you see the benefits of it, that's really what I think has led us to being able to have and field very, very competitive teams.
So your athletic philosophy, okay, is totally embraced all the way through?
It is.
Up through the hierarchy?
It is. Yeah, we're going to provide opportunities for kids to play, and our administration understands that and embraces that. But also, you know, as we've played sports, we've coached it. You know, I still like to win. You know, right. I like to win. Sure. It beats the alternative.
Right.
And you know, is it a win at all costs thing? Absolutely not. We want to recruit good kids that are here for the right reasons, and we get them an education, and hopefully we win a lot of games along the way.
And I guess knowing that you get very good athletes, high caliber athletes, okay? Do you have athletes currently there right now, or how many have you had in the past, do you think, that are multiple sport athletes? So when they come in, they're not only a good basketball player, but they're a phenomenal baseball player, or women, you know, who go out for basketball and want to play softball or something like that. So is that something you guys do see there?
We are for it. You know, we love to get those type of kids. We haven't seen it as much as you would think, and part of it is, you know, it's year round nowadays. Everything's very sports specific. Even at the high school level, kids aren't playing multiple sports like they used to, like we all did.
Sure.
You know, you just
Whatever
traded your glove for what's next.
Right.
So we haven't seen as much of that. But we are very open to having kids that want to do that. So
the community college experience, I mean, you can't beat it in terms of the cost per student. I mean, it's a great way to get that head start, get that associate's degree, and it's not, you know, we all hear about the escalating costs of higher education, but at MCC you have a lot of programs, the Promise program, that you can get a good portion, if not all of your Head Start programs taken care of. Talk to us about academically and how important it is to maybe get that foundation at the community college level.
As far as a college education and the cost, you will not find a better deal than a community college. It's black and white, and all the data shows that the Promise
It's the
Zone,
best bang for your buck out there, folks.
It really is. And the Promise, the Muskegon Promise, we also have the Newaygo Promise. They have a Promise Zone over there. The Muskegon Promise, if you're a 3.5 or above and graduate from a Muskegon high school, your tuition is going to be paid for 2 years. And the ability to basically cut your education cost in half, it's tremendous. You know, one of the things, the perception out there is that the quality is not as good. That's a joke. English 101 at Muskegon Community College is the same as English 101 at Grand Valley. So the quality of those programs are top notch. What our faculty do is they teach.
Well, and again, from an associate's degree, which is a 2-year program, okay, to transferring, and again, I don't know what it is now, but how many credit hours you are allowed to transfer, if it's 55, 65, you know, that a 4-year school will take. But there's a lot of certifications you can get, whether it's nursing or, you know, a 2-year program that can set you well on your way for life.
Yeah, I mean, we have the nursing simulation lab in our building. You know, we've had people come through that and say that is as good as the University of Michigan's, and our nursing program is tremendous. They rank very, very high every single year in their pass rates. But even those short-term jobs, medical assisting, you know, you look downtown Muskegon, the investment MCC's made down there in the Sturris Technology Center, in those high-demand jobs where people can go and get a certificate and be employed within 6 months, and making money.
Well, and when you think about it, people who do the research and understand what constitutes a degree at the 4-year level, okay, you have probably 36 hours for a major, okay? You have 26 probably for a minor. Okay, we'll do the math. Now you come to a community college and you get to take all the prerequisites, like you said, your English 101, your psychologies, you know, and you get all those prerequisites out of the way.
Yeah, and that's 62 credits.
That's the game plan.
62 credits, you get your associate's degree.
Get that.
And if you get that done, you know, you should be able to transfer pretty much anywhere in Michigan. It's going to be pretty seamless, and then you can move right into your major, which is, you know, I just can't think enough. I went to a community college in Iowa when I was that age, and you know, at the time, you know, a lot of people think, oh, I want to go to Michigan. I want to go to Michigan State to experience that. But there's always always the opportunity to do it after you get 2 years of college in and have your cost.
Let's talk. We're going to take a final time out here, then we'll come back, and got about 10 minutes left with Marty McDermott. You're watching the Power Hour here on CatchMark SportsNet.
Started brewing, I fell in love with the industry, the people of the industry, and just how craft beer brings people together. The community has really accepted us, and really we made this place to create our clubhouse pretty much, where we want to hang out and we have the beers we want to drink and the stuff we want to do, and we really hope that the community would just be of that same mindset and want to come here too and have fun, and they sure have.
Guest today, Marty McDermott, Athletic Director at Muskegon Community College. We're here at North Grove Brewers in Montague. Thank our sponsors as well. Well, Marty, talk to us a little bit about the new offerings. Obviously, things continue to evolve a little bit. And what are some of the new offerings over at MCC?
I'll tell you what, guys, this newest one that we are going to launch in fall of 22, our newest sport is esports. You might ask, what is esports? That was the question I asked myself when we first started looking at this, but basically it's gaming. You know, we were approached by a member of our gaming faculty. They have a game design program, and we looked at this, and you know, you talk about, you know, a lot of people have played Madden.
Right.
You know, so basically what this is I'm behind my computer on campus playing Madden against somebody at Grand Rapids Community College who's on the other end. There's all different kinds of games. So we have just hired a coach that has started recruiting. So we are looking for any and all. This is going to be a co-ed team too. This is going to be a co-ed team, and we're going to offer a couple different games. So we are looking for people out there that are interested in this to get this launched. And if you do some research, especially overseas, there are kids making millions and millions of dollars. They're packing arenas when these video tournaments are going on. Man. But
yeah, and their lifespan is 29 years old.
Yeah,
you know,
so.
That is amazing. But it's the wave of the future.
Yeah,
it is.
It is the wave of the future.
You know, almost every school, college in Michigan, every 4-year, and then the community colleges, we've got about half of them in Michigan that are jumping on board with this.
And who would they contact for that?
I would say just contact me to start, right at the athletic department. And
you'll be hearing from my son tomorrow morning.
We do have scholarships available for this also.
Wow.
And
I can't help but think about the mother or the father that are just yelling at their kid in the basement, hey, you're never going to amount to anything on this gaming stuff. And like you said, some turn into millionaires.
Yeah,
I'm
working here, Mom.
I got a future.
But Coach, I'll tell you, it's funny. We had a gentleman, my godson, who, Royce Dickerson, we had him on the show. He left ESPN, went to Fox, okay, and he produced the World Series. And he left Fox 4 years ago to go to eSports, okay?
Amazing.
And so that's who he works with out in L.A. right now is eSports.
Yeah, these kids.
But I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, what is that?
Yeah, they're the professional gamers. They have sponsorships. You know, they're like golfers. They got logos all over their shirts and hats, and it's new and it's interesting. And I'm still learning this one too. But we're going to launch it, and hopefully it goes well for us.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit of the time we have left here. Is maybe some of the challenges that you faced as an athletic director, and I can't think of any bigger challenge
than doing shows like this.
Exactly. is the last 2 years with COVID. I mean, there is no school that could prepare you for a pandemic at all. And I remember talking to the athletic directors at high school and the coaches and all the stuff they had to go on. I mean, it was really kind of I don't mean this in a bad way, but uncharted ground and kind of make it up a little bit as you go, wasn't it?
There was no doubt about it. You know, I remember when we shut down, we thought for the March 20th, I think it was, 2000, when we shut the college down, we thought we'd be out a couple days
right.
and be back. And where it progressed from there was you almost didn't want to plan anything because the next day it changed. And you put something in place, and then it changed. And it was and still is a very challenging thing. We had 2 wrestlers test positive today, so it hasn't gone away for us.
Right.
But you know, I think we'll look back. Some very positive things have come from this that we can implement and that we can learn from, things we can do better. But I'm really looking forward to the day where we can have full arenas,
right.
no mask, and just have people with a sense of calm and no worries about this. But
You know, we talk about how COVID has affected high school and colleges and everything. The 4-year schools basically went out at Division I and they granted those athletes an extra year of eligibility. Now, for your situation, were they able to do anything for those athletes, or was that not even an option?
Yes, we did the same thing. Anybody, basically, the 2021 did not count against any. Everybody was given an extra year of eligibility.
That's great.
So we do have some kids that have followed the John Russell schedule.
Sure.
And they're on a tether also.
But those kids, you know, they came back for the right reasons.
Right.
That either they wanted to finish their education. 2, they felt like they weren't quite ready to move on to the 4-year level yet. So they spent another year getting bigger, stronger.
That is so big.
Yeah.
It is. You know,
Offering that.
there's. When I was coaching, I always told people there's such a big difference between an 18-year-old boy and a 22-year-old man, and it really is. But you know, the thing about us, the 4 years are going to have to deal with this a little bit longer. You know. With this extra year of eligibility before everybody kind of flushes their way through. We should be through it in another year, and hopefully things will be back to normal.
In terms of, there's a lot being said now about athletes getting paid or getting, for their likeness and things like
Sponsored.
that. Sponsorship and things like that. And I'm sure that probably doesn't happen in the JUCO level as much, or if at all. But still, you're an athletic director, and you kind of get the lay of the land a little bit. What is your feeling on that a little bit? Do you have an opinion that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, you know, we don't have to deal with it very often or at all. We're aware of it.
Yeah.
The NJCAA has policy on it. I'm all for it for the kids. I just hope it doesn't become a situation where the rich get richer, where the mid-majors and even the people besides the Alabamas and the Georgias
Right.
can compete.
Sure.
Where they're just buying kids because of this NLI money.
Right.
I hope it doesn't get to that. So I think there needs to be some guardrails on it.
Sure.
But I'm all for the kids, being able to make money because people are making money off of them.
Right. And plus the fact that, it got to be so arcane. I mean, I know there were abuses, but it's almost like you buy a kid a sandwich and all of a sudden there's, oh man, am I violating something? It kind of became a little bit silly, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And now, he's kids getting a Porsche. I don't know if it was Alabama or somewhere, but somebody was driving around in a Porsche, and this was part of their sponsorship deal.
Right.
It just doesn't seem right.
That's why I have a bike with training wheels.
Sure. Sure.
My sponsor.
As far as some of the other challenges or things that you're dealing with, I mean, I know on the high school level we call it out of the games there, just the participation levels. I mean, the JV programs at some even decent-sized high schools, they're no longer for some of them. So you always wonder about the health of athletics. What are your thoughts?
A couple things that that worry me, I guess. You know, obviously financially, money is always tight no matter where you're at. Right. So we deal with that. To address your situation on teams, the size of teams, we worry about that as an institution also, because I think it's 2025. It's this thing we call an enrollment cliff, where all the demographics, there's just not as many high school kids graduating from the high schools. So this ability for us to recruit is shrinking. The number of people that we need to recruit is shrinking. The third thing that worries me just a little bit is we've added 3 new teams to the Michigan Community College Athletic Association this year, which is great. That is a tremendous thing for us to continue to expand. But what that brings is competition with, I was talking to our Jimmy the other day, our men's basketball coach, and we were on the road, and somebody was at the Muskegon game from the Detroit area, one of the schools, recruiting in Muskegon. And, usually we try to just, build a wall around that, but everybody continues to come in. And I just think that's going to get worse and worse as we move along, and there's just not as many kids to recruit.
Talk about, if you can, the community support around Muskegon Community College. Do you see a lot of involvement, from the community to support the kids, the athletic programs that you guys offer? We
do. I really feel that MCC is a pillar in the community. It's trusted, I think, by the community. When we say we're going to do something, we do it. We have a great relationships with Orchard Views right across the road, and sharing of facilities. So I think everybody, and it's amazing when you walk around Muskegon. Sometimes you're out and about, and you just see that you'll run into somebody. Oh, I played baseball there. I played basketball there, and so you just do that all the time. So I think there's a lot of Jayhawks out there, and we really appreciate that support that they give us.
Fantastic. We only have a couple of minutes left here. You got anything in summation for Mr. McDermott?
Well, I say that a year and a half ago, Western had an anonymous alumni who donated $550 million.
That was you, wasn't it?
Sure. But, you never know when something like this may come back from somebody who's gone on and had some tremendous success. And they want to reach back out and show their appreciation, so you see things, not of that magnitude, of course, but you do see people that say, you know what, I want to make a donation. I want to be able to kick back to something that really helped me in my career, in my life. Exactly.
I know you look at our downtown campus, Peter Sturris and his wife. His wife was a secretary to the president, and I had a great experience and decided to give back. A great story, I was at the University of Dubuque, in Dubuque, Iowa. The place was about ready to close, 400 kids, and former backup offensive lineman came in and donated about $35 million and just transformed that place, and up to 1,800 students now. But yeah, you never know where that one donation can come
but
from.
But you touch so many kids' lives, okay? It's just like you don't realize it, because it's ever evolving. Every part in it is a working part, and so a lot of these kids go on to achieve great things, and they remember.
Yes, they do.
They remember, and they want to
where they started.
Yeah.
I gotta add one other thing.
Sure.
John started calling games for us this year on MCC TV, and he suffered his first loss the other day as an announcer. So
he's fired.
We're looking for other people right now. So.
I moved on and moved out, right? Yep. What have you done for me lately, Marty? I understand it. It's a tough business. As we wrap up here, though, seriously, anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to get out there about MCC, or got, I guess the floor is yours for another.
No, we just appreciate you asking me on. Whenever we can talk about Jayhawk athletics, we'd love to do it, and appreciate the work you guys do, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate it. Marty McDermott, Athletic Director at Muskegon Community College. Thank you, Marty. And that is going to do it for us for another edition. We have made it through another edition of the Power Hour, as scary as that may be.
Next week we'll have Bo Jackson and Reggie Jackson on
And Janet
guests.
Jackson. That's going to do it for us tonight. For Mike Taylor and Marty McDermott, have yourself a great night, everybody.
VanDyk Mortgage, we started 1987, July of 1987. The company was founded here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We recruited Mario in to join our company as one of our branches to serve the Muskegon community. He has grown to 5 locations, serving people up and down the lake shore.
A lot of companies, they're sometimes in it more for themselves and closing that deal for just the monetary reward. And I think with Mario and his company, it's not just that, and I don't know if that always happens in our world.